It's a blessing to welcome on one of the top players in 2021. He's a lead recruit for Florida State and the seventh highest ranked player in Florida State history. Matthew Cleveland, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How about you?
Pretty good. I'm excited to get you on, man. I know it's your third time. We've talked about the last 3 years now, wrapping up each season, but now you're committed. You know your next step, Florida State. A few months out from getting on campus, but how you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good. Just trying to get better each day and just get ready for the college life.
Absolutely. Well, kind of go through this a little bit because Florida State's obviously going to fit you perfectly. We know Coach Hamilton's probably the king of getting guys at your position, the big guard, small forward type players to the NBA. He's done about 4 or 5 years straight. But what attracts you to Florida State? Like, why is this the home that you want to put yourself at for next year?
Basically, what you said, and just the family and home comfortable environment that I got from visiting it a few times, and just even some of the people that were on the team just texted me and just keeping me updated, and it's just like a home environment. I just really felt like comfortable there.
So when you're talking to Coach Hamilton, he obviously can say, "Yeah, I've got Patrick Williams there. I've got Jonathan Isaac there. I'm going to get Scotty Barnes this year," over and over again. But how does that appeal to you when you see these guys that are built a lot like yourself? Like, how appealing was that to you?
It was a big deal because just watching like the games and stuff, and just being able to see myself fit in that system, and just the different things they do with those players and make them help them be successful, and I can just see myself fitting in those positions.
He really does switch up how he uses them. Some of them have come off the bench with a six-man role. Some of them start. Has he talked to you about how he plans to use you? Is he going to use you as a dominant starter for next year, come off the bench as six-man, or what is he kind of looking at for you for next year?
He hasn't told me yet, but I'm just whatever he needs me to do, I'll go down there and do it.
Obviously, well, we're going to get more into Florida State in a little bit, but I want Seminole fans to get to know you a little bit better. So let's kind of head back. Obviously, you're from Georgia. What was it like growing up out there and being just a part of Georgia?
Um, it's a it's different in Atlanta, pretty much. Atlanta is like different from Georgia. Atlanta considers itself like its own state. 'Cause people from Atlanta, like we just, it's a big experience down here with just everything that's going on and all the traffic and everything. So just being growing up in Atlanta, it's been fun, but I'm ready to go see different states.
Now, in terms of basketball, that is probably the best place, in my opinion, right now in terms of talent, especially when you're talking about like a city. Like when you're talking about Atlanta, you have talent all over the area there. So, what's it like in terms of basketball out there?
Everyone here is really competitive. Consider everyone here dogs. They're trying to go prove themselves to the world and prove themselves to everyone out there that thinks they're not good. And even in like South Georgia, South Atlanta, there's some non-known hoopers down there as well that will come up and play against anyone here, and it'll be a great game.
Who's been that guy for you? Like, has it been a guy you love going up against? Like, when you see them on your schedule, you're circling them on that day because you want to play them?
Jabari, really, when we played them in Sandy Creek or even playing with them, it's just good to play with him because we push each other because iron sharpens iron. So just going back and forth with him, even in practices for AAU, was a good thing.
He's obviously been on here a couple of different times before, but I know you two are close. Like you said, you guys finally did the thing you guys always wanted to, and that's team up this past year with the Atlanta Celtics. But walk us through your side of the story. Like, how did you guys first meet, and just walk us through how you guys have grown to as close as you guys are today.
So we were roommates at my first USA camp, and it was his second one after being on the USA team. So I really just hung out with him, getting to know USA and things like that. And then we went to MBPA, and we already knew each other, so we just hung out really most of the time, and that's how we really grew a bond and became close. And then after my AAU team, my 10th grade year split up, he was just trying to get me to play with him, and I just decided it would be a good idea to go over and play with him.
So, did you talk much with them prior to Team USA then?
No, we didn't really talk much. I didn't really know much about him, except I played him once, and that was it.
And now I know he discussed you two did obviously talk about teaming up at some points throughout the recruiting process. How close did that ever get? Like, what were some of the places you guys were looking at possibly teaming up at, and how close did it ever get to happening?
We talked about teaming up like Georgia, Tennessee, Auburn, Florida State, schools like that. It got like pretty close with Georgia and Auburn, but our styles fit differently in different systems, so we just felt like we needed to go the best place that was for us individually.
It's a little off topic, but I know a lot of people keep questioning Georgia as a program, obviously, right now, because you guys have probably the most talent in the entire country, I said, if not top three. But a lot of you guys don't tend to go to Georgia. Like, kind of walk us through that, like, what's the appeal of going to other states, and why is Georgia not actually the best fit for you or a lot of other top guys in the state?
I just think most guys from here want to expand out and just expand their like brand in this A and not keep it in one specific area. So if they can go like Auburn, or if they can go to Florida, or they can go to California, and they can really like expand their fan base and their brand, I think they think that will really help them a lot in like getting drafted or just getting like to play overseas or becoming a pro.
Now, this might kind of put you a little bit on the spot, but if you're talking about Georgia guys in this past decade, so we're looking at obviously this past era involving you, Jabari, up to this 2021 class. Who would you say would be like on your all Georgia team? If you're putting together like a Georgia super team, five guys for starting lineup, maybe four or five guys off the bench. Who's on that Georgia super dream team?
Jarrett Harper for sure.
Hmm.
Jalen Brown. I'll put MJ Walker on there.
Hmm.
Um, Lou Williams, but that's kind of old.
Hmm.
Um, Trying to think. Mm, Brendan Godwin for sure.
Hmm.
Um, Alterique Gilbert, Brandon Boston, Sharif Cooper, um, Caleb Murphy, and then probably mm, that's pretty much all I can think of right now.
You're not gonna put yourself on the team?
I was leaving it to the other people.
For sure. Well, if you're looking about just Georgia right now, so 2024 to 2021, who's on that Georgia team right now?
Um, I would go Cam McDowell, um, me, Jabari, Deshaun Holt,
Hmm.
Zach Bell, Robbie Armbruster, um, Miles Rice, Josh Reed, Malik Ewing, Dylan Hunter, Kanan Carlisle, Bruce Thornton. I mean, there's a lot of good guys you can put on the team.
This 2021 class is special, but with you guys moving on now, there's still a lot of special guys in upcoming classes. So who do you think is going to take over the state? I know there's some guys like Scoot, you got Bruce, you got a few other guys. Like who's taking over Georgia next year?
Scoot for sure. Scoot and then Bruce and Kanan, those three,
Mhm.
they'll run through state of Georgia next year.
Touch up a little bit more on Scoot because he's someone that I think people that have watched him play knew how special he was for a long time, but clearly now he got moved up in rankings to the number one point guard he should be. How special is he though? Like, what's the ceiling for him? Like, how special can Scoot be down the road?
I don't think he has a ceiling. He puts in so much work, and he's just not going to be denied. So I really think he's the number one player in the nation in that class, in my opinion.
Hmm. Absolutely. Well, let's go into your high school career because you originally aren't from Pace Academy. You also first started off at Cambridge. So walk us through that decision. Like, why was Cambridge the first high school you want to start off at?
So that's where I was zoned for,
Hmm.
and it was like a 4 minute drive from my house. And my sister went there, and she had her through her freshman and senior year. She had a good experience there, so I was might as well just start off my high school career there.
So the freshman year, you go out there, you guys have a pretty solid overall record, 24-3. But take us to that freshman season.
Um, it was a lot because that freshman summer, eighth grade summer, going into freshman year, I was playing JV on the summer team, and it's a different jump from JV to varsity. Even like the physicality, how quick the game is, and even coming like my first varsity game, it was like different because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know pretty much anything that was going on with like the team and how they did things. So I just had to pick it up on the fly and learn as I went.
So at what point would you say it clicked for yourself? Like, was there a point that you started saying, okay, I can be a top player now. I'm going to be a guy that I think could be the best player time I step on that court. I'm an NBA prospect. Like, when did all this whole new stuff that you're now embracing, when does it all kind of come into play and really you thought you could be at this level?
Sophomore summer, and then going into my junior year for sure.
So if I would have told you heading into your freshman season, like you're going to become a guy that should have been a McDonald's All-American, but you're a top 15, top 20 prospect going to Florida State, you're already putting an NBA mock drafts. Like, could you have seen that in your future?
Not a chance. I would have laughed at you and been like, "You're joking with me."
So then you head into your sophomore season, and it's also pretty solid year, 20-9. But take us to that sophomore year.
So sophomore year was a challenge because pretty much our team, it was pretty much the same team from freshman year, but everyone got better. So at the beginning of the year, we like butted heads a little bit, and then we didn't really click till after like the Christmas break, and then like three of our best players got injured. So it was me and a few other players, and I really had to like step up like the leadership role and like understand where everyone wanted to be on the court. So by the time the other our other best players got back, we really were like clicked at that point in like January.
At the same time, though, too, you obviously been a part of Team USA events before. You missed the first event, but you would have went to this past one too if COVID wasn't there. But kind of walk us through Team USA events a little bit, because that's something that all guys dream of being a part of. So what's it been like just being a part of the USA program?
It's been a great experience. They treat everyone with great hospitality. They get to know you, get to know your family. They treat you right. It's not a single person that feels like they're like left out of anything when you go to Team USA. So they do a great job, including parents and kids, and just like having a great experience. So when I went out, I was pretty nervous seeing like all the like Jalen Green and like Greg Brown and things like that. But as like time went on, I got more comfortable with like the coaches, just the drills they did, and it just felt like I was actually supposed to be a part of Team USA.
We'll touch up soon about you always make the move to Pace, where Coach Strong and White's out there. He obviously is with Team USA. Is that how you kind of got the opportunity through that? Did he kind of help get you to that, or how would you kind of learn about getting to Team USA and how that all kind of come to you?
So I met Coach White through one of Cole Middleton, what I played for AAU the year before, and
Mhm.
Coach White came to like a lot of our AAU games, so that's how I met him. And they really wanted me to come to Pace, so I made the decision. And then with USA, he put in a good word for me. And then as I got there, he just kept, even when we were there, he kept coaching me like, "All right, your first day wasn't like a great day, but you still fit in. Now you got to stand out and different what I need to do to stand out and things to win." And that's really what he's big on is winning. And I really picked up on that.
That is a different mentality you have to have because, as you mentioned, it's only a year gap or so between Jalen, Greg, and all those guys. But a year gap when you're talking about the lead of the league is a pretty big deal. Obviously, 1 year is a huge difference. A lot of change happens in a year. So, how are you able to go out there, really make your mark, and play at a solid level out there when you're going up against guys like Jalen Green, like Greg Brown, like this type of guys?
The first thing I thought of was just not try to get exposed, don't get dunked on, anything like that. But then, because it's nerve wracking, but then as time went on, like the second day, third day, you really have to like insert yourself, try to get going. You can't just like lay back and be passive. You actually have to try keep hooping because you know you can play. You're there for a reason too, so you just got to play your game. And then as that went on, I just felt fine and more comfortable in playing those guys.
Who was your favorite guy to go up against at the camp?
Uh, Probably Scotty Barnes. Just him and Isaiah Tower on the other team, first team we played, and like the scrimmages and just the energy they bring. It was different.
We kind of discussed a little bit. Obviously, the correlation from Florida State with Scotty Barnes being that big guard that can run almost any position on the court. But what did you learn from him? The way he played. You just mentioned the energy aspect, but the way he kind of was on the court too. Like, what did you take away from his game?
Never take a play off and always have high energy. Even if things aren't going your way, you can still affect the game in so many different ways other than scoring, passing, rebounding, defense. Even if you're not in like the scores book or like you're not getting as many minutes as you want, you can still affect the game in so many different ways. So just watching him even at Florida State, he didn't have to score 20 points for him to be on a mock draft or anything like that. And he just went out in there and hooped and affected the game in so many different ways.
Now, was there ever an embarrassing moment for you? Like, did you ever get exposed at any point throughout the camp?
Not that there was almost one, but it didn't turn out bad. So no.
So who would you say was the most shocking guy? Like, was there a guy you went up and you weren't really familiar with who he was, but he kind of showed out and you really kind of walked away pretty impressed with?
Greg Brown for sure. I knew he was like athletic, but I didn't know he was like that athletic, and it was different seeing it in person.
Now to come today, you also got the nomination where you would have been a part of the Nike Hoop Summit team. What did that mean to you when you found that out, though?
Um, it was a great honor, and just being even thought as someone that could play on that team because we've seen many guys like Jason Tatum was on the team, Isaac Okoro was on that team, and just seeing guys like that and them being successful, it just really like motivated me to even do better and just make gave me more confidence going down the long run.
So how'd you find out about that? Was it something that just kind of came in the mail? Did Coach White or one of your parents talk to you about it? Like, how'd you find out you were part of the team?
Well, it was supposed to be a surprise, and they were supposed to get us on a Zoom, but they emailed me instead of my dad, so I found out a week earlier than I was supposed to.
So when you found out, then you opened up the email. Did you think it was real, or who'd you tell right after you saw it?
It was right after I finished training. So I
Hmm.
looked at the email and it was like, make sure we have like your right address. And I'm like, this can't be for me. So then I was like, show my training. He's like, oh yeah, I know who that is, and like that he's the real deal. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll email him back then.
That's awesome. So let's go into that transition then. You go to Pace Academy, your junior season. You end up winning a state championship that year, and you have an incredible year. That's what moves you up the rankings, moves you up a lot of different stuff. Walk us through that junior campaign for you.
Um, it was different. Getting there even my summer of sophomore year,
Hmm.
it was a different type of like atmosphere with like winning, the culture that Coach White had, and just it was different type of basketball from my old school. And it was just it pushed me to become better every day. He wouldn't let me take like a day off from practice. If I had a bad practice, he'd let me know. He'd be on me and about it. And so I had to do better the next practice. So just even like junior year, I had to get used to having good practices, and good games, and just finding other ways to affect the game other than scoring. And also defense. He really puts a big emphasis on defense. So just being able to like learn spots like low, gap, help, things like that, and just being in the right spots at all times, it was really big difference.
And you have developed that winning mentality now because you are two-time state champion. You went to Geico. Obviously, didn't win it, but you still made your team to a top eight team in the entire country. Like you've achieved a lot now throughout your high school career. So, what does your winning mentality look like? Like, take us through what it means to you to be having that winning mentality.
It means a lot because my freshman and sophomore year, it was more just like about me. But then as like my junior year came along, my teammates and Coach White helped me learn like you're not gonna be able to do it without like your teammates and your coaching staff. So you have to like get to know where they want to be on the court, get to know their strengths, their weaknesses, so you can help them, push them, and become a better leader in practice. And that it all starts in practice. Like you can't just go out in the game and expect everything to click. It has to start in practice. So we really put a big emphasis on practice and just becoming like real competitive in practice. So like the game is like the game's easier than practice.
Some people might say, well, how is it necessarily taking a team role? Obviously, you go out there and you still lead the team in almost all stat categories, but your whole team as well plays high. Obviously, you go out there, you guys go 28 and 4. So, how are you kind of learning to become that star player that can take over a game, but still keep your teammates involved?
It really did after our Woodward game. Our
Mhm.
first few games of the season, we didn't really click. We played St. Francis Woodward. We lost both those games, and like even the games we won, it wasn't like we were like clicking together. And it still like seemed like we were playing for ourselves. Especially me, I know I was like, we gotta win the game. We gotta win the game. I gotta do good. I gotta do good. But then I calmed down, like let the game come to me. I knew I had great teammates, so I let my teammates do their things too. So just being able to just become a better teammate really helped me and my team be like more successful.
For you to come away as a state champion your junior year, what was that state championship run like? Like, walk us through those playoffs a little bit.
So it was first experience of going that far in playoffs, and even state championship game after we won. I like really didn't understand like what we did. So it was just like it was a different feeling because I never won anything like that big before with like a team aspect to it. So like I didn't really understand the run as much as I did this year.
Mhm. And so after that point, you guys go in, we go into quarantine and we know all the COVID stuff comes into play. And that's when we did our interview before too, talking about, I think it was a top 12 or whatnot, but you end up going through this whole COVID process. So what were you locking in on? Because each player kind of focused on some different things to improve on. So what was your primary emphasis? Like what did you really focus and key in on during quarantine to improve on?
Was to gain weight really, gain about 15, 20 pounds, but also to use that weight in like manageable ways so it's not just like a baggage on me. And
Mhm.
also changing directions and like half court setting, mid-range shooting, which is what I'm really good at now, and just expanding my game to the three-point line, which is also what I'm working on now too.
Once the quarantine process came to a close or somewhat to a close, AU started back up in Georgia first, and you guys had a pretty solid team. We mentioned you and Jabari, which is already let alone as two top 10 guys in my opinion. But then we see a couple other pictures of guys come in and play with you guys. J.D. Davison, another top 15 5-star. Sky Clark, another 5-star, come play with you guys. How'd you guys form that team?
So we didn't know about Sky. We're really JD, but we knew about JD before we did Sky. We knew JD was gonna come play with us that weekend. So like I knew like who he was, but I didn't know like how he played.
Mhm.
So it was really we really had to like learn each other's game on the fly, doing like the first few games of the tournament. And we really just like bonded like that. And then with Sky, After that, while we knew how I already knew how Sky played, I've seen him a lot on YouTube and Twitter, things like that. So just getting to play with them, it was a great experience because never got to play with like Sky or JD before, and just all like the attention and people that the fans they bring, it was different.
Now, that's something you're not going to see too often because there's a good chance that in 5, 10, 15 years from now, when you guys are all in the NBA, people are going to look back at that picture and see all four of you guys on one team. How was that like playing? Like, I mean, how special was the four of you guys, and how special was that?
It was a fun experience. Like it was well, I remember we before right before our first game, they made us come like take a big picture and we were just all joking around and stuff like that. And it was just like fun to just be around each other. So we put our egos aside, even though we like lost the two games. It was still fun to play with each other and just see what each other were able to do.
But you and Jabari really formed that duo because you guys stayed together for the whole AU time. How special was it just playing you two as a dynamic duo together? What was that like?
It was a great experience because first game we knew each other wanted to do, but he came up to me and said, I just want to win. You can have 30 points. I can have zero. I just want to win. And then from there it clicked because we both know we wanted to win. So we would do whatever we wanted to win. If it was him going for 30 and me having 2 points, but 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, I would be fine with that. Or if I had 30 and he had 10 points, 10 rebounds, 5 blocks, he'd be okay with that too, as long as we just both just wanted to win. And that's how we clicked.
There is another aspect to basketball, and that is the trash talking side. I know you're typically more so quiet, same with Jabari to a degree, but there are some guys that are in Georgia that we know trash talk a bunch, and a lot of the time there's two guys that seem to always get the answer from everyone in Georgia with. But I want to hear your opinion. Who are the two best trash talkers to go up against in Georgia?
Uh, Robbie Armbruster, he's probably one.
Hmm.
And probably my teammate Madison Durr. He's probably right there alongside with him.
So when you go up against Robbie, what's that like? I know we all know what Robbie does for anyone that watches him. He's Robbie, but what's it like playing against him?
He's real competitive, real good on the defensive end. He makes you better, so you really have to bring your A game, or he's going to expose you.
Have you ever got into it with him at all, trash talking?
Nah, we didn't get really trash talk because I've only played him one time, and he got the best of me that one time, so I couldn't really say anything to him.
So then we head into your senior year, and this is a year that I've said you go to Geico at the end of the day, another state championship. Your senior year, we get on Max Preps, All American team. You obviously have this historic past season, but take us through your senior year.
Really, this year I just wanted to focus on getting back to another state championship and making Geico Nationals because state championship that was a goal of ours, but we wanted to set something for something higher because we know we could be better. So it was really just learning my teammates again because we all got better through quarantine and just what we wanted to do and what we like to do and just becoming a better leader for the younger guys so that when we leave, there's gonna be no drop off.
Now you look back at your entire high school career, like what would you say are some of your favorite memories, and would you say you ultimately at the end of the day, like, were you successful? Did you achieve everything you wanted to?
I say I achieved everything I wanted to for most part.
Mhm.
Some of the best moments were we had a game this year. We were supposed to play. We were all like warming up. We were on the court, listening to our music, getting ready, like locked in. And the team was like, "Yeah, we canceled. Like, we don't have like anyone to take us to the game." So like, we all locker room, we were just like blasting music. But then we played them the next day, and we won by like 60, 70, and it was just like a great time in that locker room. And then also when we went to Chicago our junior year, we played Bloom, and it was bad. We lost by 30, but even like after that, we still bonded as a team in the hotel room, and we just really like stayed up the whole night, even though we had to flight back to Atlanta the next day. Those are two of my best memories.
There's one nomination that I'm so shocked you didn't get on. There's two guys specifically that are on the top of my board, and that was you and Ty Ty Washington that didn't make the McDonald's All-American game for whatever reason. But when you saw that, like, what was going through your mind, and how did you react to it?
I was disappointed, sad, mad, but at the end of the day, like that didn't really matter because I got a call from Coach CY for the state coach, and he was like, same thing happened to Patrick Williams when he was left off the list. He had the same like experience, but he's in the NBA now, the fourth pick in the draft. So I just put it in a bigger picture, and then I found out the day before, and then when they released it, and I saw who also wasn't on it, like Ty Ty. I DM Ty Ty on Instagram, Langston Love, Bryce McGowan's. I just DM'd all them like we got a bigger picture that's bigger than McDonald's All American, so let's just keep working.
That's unique. I did hear about that story too. A couple of guys, you guys were DMing with each other. But when you kind of have that chip, because ultimately, I mean, like you said, you still going to college, you're going to go NBA most likely down the road. But what kind of chip does that put on your shoulder now going forward?
Puts a big chip on my shoulder, just letting them know like they messed up, to show them that they messed up and they made a mistake, and just like that I'm better than whoever they put on their list or whoever they think's better than me. That I can go out and show them like there's no doubt that I'm better than them.
No doubt. Well, before we talk about Florida State, I do want to touch up on your family a little bit. I know you have a pretty supportive family, especially your dad, your entire family as a whole, to be honest. But talk about growing up with them and how they've helped get you to this point.
So started playing basketball when I don't remember 5, 6, and my dad was one of my first coaches. So he's been there every step of the way. He's only missed like a handful of games, maybe like less than 5 games that I've ever played in. Same with my mom. She's probably only missed like 5, 6 games. And even my sisters, they try to come to like all my games. They're all supportive. So just having like a whole family that supports me and backs me when what I'm doing is really just motivating me as well.
Obviously, there are guys that do it without both parents or do it without different supporting people in their life. But how critical is it for someone in any success place, but especially for you as an athlete, to really have that supporting cast around you?
It's really important because they can help you like network with people that you probably don't know about, or they've been through certain experiences, maybe not the same ones, but certain experiences that you've been through that they can help you with and they can talk to you about. And even like my dad this past year, he helped me set my goals for me and my teammates throughout this whole year, senior year, so we can get those accomplished.
Absolutely. Well, let's head into this final recruiting process for you now. We ultimately going to Florida State. We discussed why you want to go there, but there were some other big teams in the picture for you to finally wrap up your recruiting process. So, kind of walk us through those teams. Like, why was that your final group that you chose?
That was my final group. Really just because I felt that that's what fitted me the best. And the 4 other schools, I felt they had a like family environment, comfortable environment. I could go to any of the coaches and talk to them about anything. So that's what came down to the final 5.
Would you say there was a number two option? Like, if Florida State wasn't there, like, was there a number two team for you?
Michigan at a certain point was my number one.
Mm.
With Juwan Howard, they as soon as they came along, that's really where I kind of wanted to go. And but things like I had chances to think about it, and over time, it just felt like Florida State was a better fit for me.
That's interesting. So, at what point would you say that Michigan was the team? Like, were you close to ever actually announcing the commitment to them? And if so, like, when was that?
It was quarantine, like right in like June, July,
Hmm.
like maybe like 3 weeks before I committed, maybe like a month. I was like feeling Michigan, like thinking I was going to Michigan,
Hmm.
and I never really was gonna announce a commitment to Michigan, but it was my number one school. Like I was like thinking I was gonna commit there whenever I was gonna commit, but that's not how like the things worked out.
So, what switched then over that next month or so time span? Like, what switched in your mind? What switched in your decision to ultimately swap over to Florida State then?
Watching the NBA draft, seeing 2 lottery picks go there. Um, just I went back and like just like meditated and thought on it, like
Mhm.
who's been there since like early in my recruitment and just the things that they've done for me. And it's like I had to go back and look at the bigger picture, and Florida State was that big picture for me.
So, when you finally came to that decision and you told Coach Hamilton, the coaching staff, that I'm going to become a Seminole now for you guys next year, what was their reaction? How'd you tell them?
They were really excited. I called Coach Ham first to tell him, and he was really excited. And he was like, "I don't know what I'm supposed to do." And then I called the head assistant that recruited me the most, and I told him as well. And we just on the phone for like 10 minutes talking about it, and it was like a great experience. And I was super excited, super happy.
Fans don't always get to see the coaches from a personal perspective. They always see what they look like on the coaching. Sometimes there'd be interviews here or there, but what's Coach Hamilton like personality wise? I know he's always smiling, but what's he like on his personality side?
That's pretty much him. Always smiling,
Mhm.
always trying to help you, trying to help you become a better man, better basketball player. and he just really wants to see people succeed and see you succeed. So that's really where I thought I'd fit into.
We'll talk about faith a little bit, but I know he's also a strong believer. So have you guys got to talk about faith yet? And if so, what do those discussions look like?
So my first visit down there, we were in his office, maybe like hour and a half, and he talked about how him and my mom really connected because they both like singing. They both like gospel music, and my mom sings in the choir, and he talked about how he loves gospel music as well. So they really bonded over that. And it was a good experience just being able to see someone else and seeing like another coach just have like faith in God. And it was just really like comfortable seeing that.
You haven't got to experience it yet, but to have almost like another father figure, especially also on the religious side, being able to kind of relate to him and faith-based, how important would that be for your development and growth over the next year?
It'll be really important because I feel like I can have multiple people to go to on that coaching staff that can help me and help with my experiences through things if I'm struggling or whatever, and they can just help me relate it back to God's word or relate it back to anything because they've been through more than what I've been through and they've seen things that I haven't seen.
So you aren't the only guy coming to Florida State this year. You guys have a special recruiting class, number five to be exact. That's not even including Caleb coming in through the transfer portal, which will be a huge addition. But just in terms of this recruiting class, you, Jalen, John, Naheem as well. But how special is this group and how did you guys all kind of come together?
It's real special. I think we have a chance to be a nice, real, like great class for recruiting class, and um, it came to be. I first was recruited by Bryce and his dad.
Hmm.
That was also a big factor of me committing there. And then Jalen came along, and then John came along, and then that's pretty much all I knew. And they talked about we had like a JUCO that was coming, and so I didn't know much about him, but we got put in a group chat by one of our assistant coaches, and then I added us into like our own separate group chat. So we really just texted then, and we really started bonding then, and we follow each other on Instagram, things like that. So we really just support each other in all our steps away. Like when John won state, I was in his comment section like, "Congrats, state champ." Same with Naheem. We would just really just support each other in different things we do.
And you kind of mentioned a key piece there because we know Bryce was the first guy part of this recruiting class, and he's a special player too. But how much of an impact did he have on bringing you to Florida State?
Big impact. About 2 weeks before I committed, we did a workout together, and
Hmm.
him and his dad and a few other people were there from him, and they were just like recruiting me the whole time. And I was like, it wouldn't be a bad idea. So like it kept it on my mind being able to play with him, and it was just like it seemed like a fun experience.
We know he ultimately decided to go on a different way, go to Nebraska now. But what was your reaction to that? Obviously, you probably would have wanted to play with him, but you guys brought in Jalen and other guys to kind of fill another position too. But how that all kind of unfold, and what was your reaction when you first decided to decommit?
So I didn't know about it till it happened, but
Mhm.
um, if it feels like what's best for him and what he needs to do to get to the next step, then I'll support it 100%. And even though it like didn't help our like recruiting class per se and like the rankings,
Mhm.
um, if that's his best fit and he feel like that's his best fit, then I support him 100%.
In terms of Jalen, did you get to know him after you guys commit, or did you ever have a relationship with him prior to committing?
It was after he committed. I just texted him, was like, "Congrats, welcome to the family," different things like that.
So there's gonna be a lot of shoes to fill, as there typically are at Florida State. But so far, we know Sky is gonna go draft in the lottery or whatnot. Raekwon is to commit. Fish is going to the NBA draft. Balls is gonna be committed. Sadar will see what he decides to do. He could come back, could go to the NBA draft. But you're most likely kind of fill a Scotty Barnes star role as a to a degree. But how are you gonna plan to go in there and impact this team right away as a freshman?
Just do whatever it takes to win, push guys in practice, be competitive, and just add like a different flair that they probably haven't seen just through the way I've seen through Coach White and just how he runs practice and how practice is like more of a game than the game is for him, and just bring that type of intensity and energy and effort into everything that I do down there.
Now, this team isn't complete yet. There's still a lot of different roster spots to fill and kind of make up for those other spots. Some of which we do hear about Efton Reed potentially as a guy coming in for 2021. If not him, possibly even Trey coming in for a transfer from UMass. But are you having a recruiting pitch to Efton yet? Have you talked to Efton to any degree? Like, where does that stand in terms of if you're recruiting anyone?
I'm not recruiting one. I was gonna talk to Efton, but then I saw he backed out on his decision. So I was just gonna let him just have take his time and decide whatever he needs to decide because he's probably got like a lot of people coming at him, voices coming at him in his head. So I was just gonna let him be.
So if he does decide to come in, off it's another 5 star, a special player, and another guy that Coach Hamilton loves to have, another big 7 footer, what would it be like if you guys put him out there starting? Most likely you, Malik, Caleb will be out there, obviously Jalen, Naheem, all that, all of them. Like, how special could this team be?
It could be really special. Just push each other every day in practice and get better. And I think we have a chance to go far, far in the tournament, if not win the whole thing, just because really we could form a big brotherhood and just push each other every day.
For Florida State fans to get to know you a little better, what would you say is one word to describe you? Like the entire Matthew Cleveland package, both on and off the court. How would you describe yourself in one word?
Uh, Energy.
Absolutely, man. Well, a couple more things before I let you go. One, which is discussing and building a legacy for yourself. 'Cause I know it's something that all guys ultimately want to do. So when you are done playing basketball someday, what do you want to be remembered for what you achieved both on and off the court?
Just my development as a man and on the court. Because freshman year, eighth grade year, I didn't AAU. I'd sat the bench the whole AAU season. Freshman year, I played like 8 minutes a game, and just like to let kids know that like it takes time. It's a process. Everything's not going to be done like in a snap, and like you just keep working, and it'll come. Everything that you worked for will come eventually. You'll get what you deserve.
And that thing that ultimately, one of the things you could be deserving in the future will be possibly going to the NBA draft. So how are you going to manage that? Because I know always going to be chaotic. You want to focus on college as your main priority, but it's going to be hard to ignore. Obviously, you're going to have the questions come up throughout the year. You're going to see the mock drafts most likely with your name in it. How do you kind of balance focusing on college while also still having it kind of the back of your mind while focusing on, yeah, I do want to play in the NBA soon. If it is after next year or the year after, like how do you balance both those lifestyles?
So really just go to college and win and not focus on NBA. Because if you do what you need to do in college, then it'll come.
Mhm.
And that's what really my trainers are telling me. Just focus on college. Because if you go in just trying to focus on the draft, you'll slip up and things won't go the way you expected, and you'll be there in extra years you don't want to be there, or you won't be get drafted at all. So just go in and focus on college and go focus on do what you need to do to win and help your team get better. And by doing that, you'll skyrocket on the draft boards.
I'm sure Coach Hamilton's discussed the NBA at some point with you too. What's his thoughts on like what's his plan for you to help get you to the ultimate goal?
Just become better every day, and just the player development that they do. Really, the assistant coaches and him has just said like, you've seen what we've done with other wings, so we can do it with you too.
Absolutely, man. Well, I want to wrap up discussing your faith. So kind of discuss that. Like, how has God helped get you to the point you're at today?
It's helped me a lot when I'm lacking confidence or something's going bad. I can always open up the word or pray, talk to him, and just he'll answer the prayers, give you the confidence I need. And one Bible verse, I don't know specifically the book, but it says to look up and not within. So if you're feeling like nervous or before a game, big game, you're feeling nervous, just not like looking, like, I don't know if I can do it. Look up and say, wow, he's the man above. If he wants me to succeed, then I'll succeed. And if that's not his plan for me right now, then I know he has a better plan in the future.
I know growing up in a Christian household, obviously kind of raised in it's kind of given to you from the time you were really able to read. But at what point in your life would you say you kind of started branching off a little bit and kind of forming your own bond with God? It kind of became personal with you and God.
Really going eighth grade and ninth grade year, since I was like, I want people to know me for like something different, and just like I want people when they first know me to know like I'm a Christian, like he's a man of God, and things just become like that'd be like their first thing that they know about me.
Is there a specific moment that you've seen God show up in your life so far?
Um, I would say the moment was probably eighth grade going to ninth grade. I was like, I don't know if I can play basketball. I don't know what sport to play, basketball, baseball.
Mhm.
And he just showed me to play basketball. And also, when I committed, I was like, I don't know where I want to go, like what school fits me best. And I just got a bunch of shines that like led to FSU, like FSU, FSU, FSU. And I was like, there's only one place I can be coming from. So it really just that as well.
as you make it through the college life and then eventually most likely the NBA life, obviously gonna be a lot of distractions, temptations, and stuff off the court by having the profile you're gonna have. How do you plan to stay locked in on God and even kind of be a light to God because of your profile and your platform?
Just fall back on the word every day, pray, things like that. Just knowing like God's word is number one, and just follow it every day, and you'll succeed and you'll have a great life. So just knowing that if I follow it to a T or follow it as close as I can, that I'll be successful.
Absolutely, man. My final thing for you, give Florida State fans the three biggest goals you have set for your season out there.
Win ACC regular season, ACC tournament, and win the national championship.
Absolutely, man. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking time to come on today and crossing the commitment again and look forward to seeing what God got next for you, man. Of
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
course, you're welcome on, man. God bless.
You too.